where the whole Eubank and Benn saga ends tonight.
Yeah, ends tonight. You know, I'll be honest with you. He tried to shake my hand, but I pushed him away. I said no.
Who did?
I did. Pushed him away.
Junior?
No, senior.
Senior.
Yeah. You know, he always plays this game and all that. You know, attention seeker, and I just got sick and tired of it because I went to embrace him at the weigh-in, and he done that to me. And I thought, mate, I felt like throttling him. I thought to myself, mate, I'm not even going to bother talking to you no more, mate. It was so disrespectful, and I was like, you know what? Give me a cuddle, and that's it. But you know, carry on. I won't talk to him again, mate. It's a waste of space. I'm sorry to say, mate. Just like, you know, rubs people up the wrong way.
Okay, so let bygones be bygones then?
No, because you know what it is? This has been like his saga. You know what they do? They actually suck the life out of the press conferences. It's always, oh look, he's struggling to make weight, oh he's this, he's freaking all that. But he's been a middleweight for how many years? As soon as he fights a welterweight, oh, he's struggling to make weight. That's his fault. He's over 21. So you know, when they carry on like that, it just gets boring now. It's boring. And I'm glad the saga's over with. Now Conor get back onto his own career, move down to 147, fight hopefully Barrios, or it could be Ryan Garcia. I don't mind. I don't care. The fighting that he's really true.
Now that is Nigel Benn and his reignited beef with Chris Eubank Sr. stating that, hey, I won't talk to him no more. The beef's back on, you know. It was so disrespectful for what he did. And the problem was, people, that face-off where you had Conor and Chris Jr. and then you had Nigel and Chris Sr. and they were face-to-face. Nigel went to embrace him and Chris, in fact, you know, kind of shoved him off, you know, shoot him off, right? Brushed him off. And my only explanation of why I felt Senior did that was because the fight was there, and I think he might have been reliving some old emotions against Conor Benn. You know what I mean? And that's the only thing. And I think Nigel was trying to put it behind him. And I think what happened, because Chris Eubank Sr. did what he did, it reignited that same spirit, you know what I mean? That vibe, you know? So basically, Nigel's like, hey, you know, we don't have to talk again. We ain't friends no way. So we were kind of patching things up. Now we're ripping the Band-Aids off and snatching off the scabs. You know, now it's a full-fledged wound now, right? Bleeding. And I think what it was with Chris, he was kind of in the moment at the time because the fight hasn't happened. But normally, just like Conor and Chris Jr., you know, embraced each other after the fight, after Conor Benn showed Chris Eubank Jr. that he is worthy. He showed him that he is something that Chris thought he was, and he turned out not to be what Chris thought he was, right? He's a legitimate guy, and he doesn't need drugs to cheat, okay? And he could still fight. So because of that, that was immediate respect. But now we're seeing, you know, the shit bouncing back to the first generation of fighters. That's all I see at this point. Now, there were other reasons from Nigel on why, you know, the attention seeking or sucking the attention from the audience from Chris Sr., but that's always going to be Chris Sr. He's always going to want attention. He is a personality. You know what I mean? He is a character all by himself. So that's going to be him, you know, so you should expect that. The other thing is Nigel Benn mentioned was what his son had to go through. And Nigel made a good point. It's like, look, how long has Chris been a middleweight? Who cares? He's a grown-ass man. He made the decision to do what he did. He made the decision to agree to the rehydration clause. And I do agree. Once you agree to stuff like that, it's no need to complain about it. You know what I mean? Like I said in the video beforehand about Chris. Chris will be fine with all those duckies. And if he won't, you know, he will make enough money to mend to the medical bills. you know? But I mean, if he can't make weight, or me personally, I don't think they should have had a rehydration clause. I think that was some Eddie Hearn bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, there shouldn't be any, and for him just to save some money to come in there like a half dead man, it wasn't worth it. I would rather pay the money knowing that the stipulations are bullshit or janky, and came in and paid Conor Benn the money. At least I would have gave the fans something that they wanted to see and gave myself a fair shake, because that was not a good representation of Chris Eubank Jr. It's either the rehydration that was bothering him or he got old overnight. Either way, he got his ass whooped. He didn't do what he did in the first fight. He didn't push the issue. Where was the jab? Where was the combinations? Where was the counters? Where, you know what I mean? We seen a lot of holding. He looked drenched. He looked starched. So, but back to what Nigel Benn was saying, it's like, hey, well, I don't like Chris Jr. talking about it, so I wouldn't want Chris Sr. to talk about it either, because what's the point? He did agree to fight Conor Benn. The problem with those two men was one was at a welterweight and the other one was a middleweight. So it was a big question on where the hell would this fight go anyway? How will these guys fight? Where will they fight? What weight class will they fight in? Will they fight in? So it's like, okay, so it was an experimental thing anyway. But Nigel Benn now saying that I won't have any dealings with Chris Eubank, and he's fallen back out with him. It's almost to me like, for a dynasty, a family dynasty, it seems like 2 feet forward and 3 steps back. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Because yes, Chris Jr. and Conor Benn have squashed their beef, but now the fathers are in cahoots. Ain't that like the old times? But you guys tell me what you think of Nigel Benn stating that he doesn't know if he will ever talk to Chris Eubank Sr. again due to his antics and his comments towards his son, Chris Eubank Jr. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.